fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. That's right, guys, the award-winning Comic Book Corner 2.0. Yes, winner of the Best Comic Book Reviewer for the Geeky Awards. If you guys have not seen that award show yet, go on to Comic Uno's channel. It's a great collaboration of videos and people getting together to do this awesome award show. So go check that out. And guys, real quick, the reason why I'm on the couch today is because my AC is broken. And with me going in and out of the garage, that lets in more hot air into the house. And let me just say the house is already at about 90 degrees and I'm sweating my ass off. But I have an obligation to do. I have a review. And today is number ones. That's right, guys. We are back doing the second episode of number ones. And this series is all about reliving past number one issues. And today's number one issue is, bam, X Factor issue number one. Now, this series was made back in 1986, way back when Pac-Man was cool, Atari was awesome, Cyndi Lauper was singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and neon colors were great, and Miami Vice was popular. So, X Factor was pretty cool too, I guess, back then. This book was written by Bob Layton, and the pencils was done by Jackson Geis. Artwork in this particular book was pretty nice. I love the cover on here. Jean Grey, Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, and Beast. That's right, guys. The original X-Men coming together to make their own comic again. Because back at this time, we had the Uncanny X-Men. So you had people like Colossus and Wolverine and Storm. So you had a lot of new X-Men, and some people wanted to see these guys put together again. And that's what they did in this particular series. Now you gotta be wondering, dude, Jean Grey, she's alive. What's going on? Well, this is what this issue is about. This is Jean Grey's first appearance since she died from that whole Dark Saga Phoenix thing. Or Dark Phoenix Saga, excuse me. This was a really great issue, a really good introduction to bring back Jean Grey and to bring back the original X-Men. In this issue, you get to see, Scott Summers. Before Jean Grey comes back, he's married to this girl, Madeline. He has a baby. It's crazy. The X-Men kind of get kicked out, the original ones, and they're no longer fit for, like, heroism or whatnot. And it's interesting to see Scott married to Madeline, but he knows that Jean was dead, but Madeline always reminded him of Jean Grey, and he always has thoughts about her. Also, you get to see Warren, which is Angel in this particular issue. Just being himself, rich, free, buying projects. You got Hank McCoy in this issue, trying to go for a interview at Harvard to be a professor, and then you got just Iceman being Iceman, Bobby Drake being himself. But this issue is really cool. They're all doing their own separate things. They can't be a team anymore, and we find out in this issue that there's this one villain who he's not really a villain, he's a mutant that doesn't know how to control his powers, and he lights people on fire, and he lights himself on fire, and he can't be controlled, and he gets sent to jail or whatnot. But Warren gets this call from Reed Richards, and Reed Richards is like, dude, Warren, you gotta come. You just gotta come here right now. There's something important that has to happen. And he's like, okay, I'll be right there. And he tells him the story. And Alan's just sitting there going, you know what? I don't know. And he's debating for like hours on if he should call, Scott about this, because he knows once he calls Scott, Scott's gonna leave, and he's gonna leave his marriage and his baby. So Scott gets the call. Madeline's like, no, you can't leave. If you leave, please, don't come back. And she's all depressed and she cries. And Scott goes to the hotel where this particular person is being held. And the next thing you see is Scott Summers walks in and he gets reunited with Jean Grey. The first time ever since she died. Awesome stuff. You're like, whoa. So as a reader back then, you're probably like, dude, this is awesome. Jean Grey's back. I knew she didn't die. And he's just like, well, how can this be? How are you alive? I don't understand. And she's all happy and smiles. Oh, things can be the way they used to. And the cool thing is in this issue is that they do a really good job on telling you what happened to Jean Grey, what happened to the Dark Phoenix, and how Jean Grey actually survived the whole thing. Now, in case you haven't noticed, or if you've noticed, I'll tell you what happens. The Dark Phoenix wasn't really Jean Grey. It was an entity in itself. The Phoenix copied Jean Grey's body type, personality, and everything else. And it wound up self-killing. It wound up killing itself in a way. And Jean Grey was kept on the bottom of the ocean the whole time in this capsule while her injuries were healed, and she wound up getting rescued right here, as you can see. So she never really technically died, and the Phoenix was never truly Jean Grey. Crazy stuff. So they have this whole story, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." So after some, you know, after Scott Summers finding himself in this issue, and Hank McCoy getting turned down for this job, the five of them find themselves back together, and they form this group called X Factor. Now, they wanted to relive Professor X's destiny and help mutants. So they felt without having the mutant haters involved in everything, they find themselves going undercover as X Factor, as X Factor Inc. They make this commercial on TV saying, "You want to deal with the muties? Well, the X Factor will come and they'll save the day. Have your MasterCard and your Visa ready." It literally says that right here. It's so hysterical. So as it goes on, they pose as people that capture the mutants and do tests on them. But really what they're doing is they're going to get the mutants and save them and help them control their powers. So that's what X Factor is all about. And that's what they basically did with this mutant that can't control his powers. They wound up saving him. And at the end, they wind up coming together and forming the X Factor. One hilarious part in here was the guy that got charged for X Factor trying to get this mutant. They charged him $42,000. The guy's like, "Holy shit, dude, $42,000!" It was awesome. And they find out that X Factor is going to work. And then at the end of the issue, you have Madeline here going, "Freaking Scott Summers, asshole." So she's all pissed off. So what did I think about this issue? I thought this issue was fantastic. I thought it was cool. I mean, it's kind of almost like, you're like, damn, that's kind of cheesy how, Jean Grey still survived the whole time. But back then, when you read this, you're going to be like, yes, Jean Grey's back because she's an awesome character. And Cyclops and Jean are reunited, and it starts their relationship all over again. And I like the story. I mean, it's 42 pages for $1.25. There's like a couple ads in that. You don't see that anymore. This story was fantastic. Lots of dialogue. Lots of dialogue. It took me an hour to read this book, where most comics today, take you 5 minutes to read. I mean, there was so much to read, but this story was interesting, and it was a page turner, and there wasn't that much action, but dude, it's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Angel, and Beast. You can't turn it down. So even though maybe it wasn't the best comic today, it still holds out in today's standards, and I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. So guys, tell me what you think. Have you ever read the X Factor series before? Did you know about Jean Grey's past? A lot of us already have. But a great series. It still goes on today. It's actually on its last story arc. They ended it. They brought it back. But again, it's on its last story arc. Great stuff, guys. If you have spare change, go out there. Purchase X Factor #1. I definitely recommend it. So guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. This has been the next episode of #1s. And then until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And guys, see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.